What's going on, guys? Archangel here with my thoughts, impressions, review, discussion of Square Enix's E3 conference. Square Enix is widely considered right now to have had the best E3 conference. I disagree. To me, Xbox still has the best conference, and the reason why I say Square doesn't, and I'll tell you now, before I said I will not do any rankings whatsoever in terms of a video where I say this conference is an A, B, C, D, whatever you want to call it. But I will say right now, because of how everyone is reacting, if I have to rank the conferences, number one is Xbox, number two I would say is Nintendo, then Ubisoft, then EA, and then Square, and then Bethesda. So I'll go into details about EA's conference at a later date, but this is all about Square. And so why do I have Square so much lower than everybody else? Well, the reason is because Square Enix didn't show much that I care about. When it comes to E3, I get my phone out and I type down any game that interests me that I can talk about in the video. Want to know how many games I have written down in my notes for Square Enix? 3. Square Enix showed 3 games that got my attention. An hour and a half of a conference, only 3 games got my attention. Only 3 games was something that I would want to play. Only 3 games of things that I want to see more of. Square Enix show, for the most part, for me, was boring. Square Enix show, for the most part, they showed 95% ports and remasters. Like their conference was just nothing but remasters. They opened the show with a remake. They ended the show with a new game. And like seriously, in between that remake and in that new game was nothing but remasters and ports, and new DLC for things like Final Fantasy 14. So, and you got Life is Strange 2. So outside of that, everything else was just ports and remasters of old Japanese RPG games that I have zero interest in. So that's why Square, to me, was not the best conference. That's why they're literally just above Bethesda, who have the worst conference. And I saw one video where it said the reason why Square was the best because they showed gameplay. They showed a game mode called Outriders. That game showed zero gameplay. It was just a trailer, a cinematic trailer. So that video is a lie. When it came to the Avengers that they showed off a mixture of cinematic trailers and like edited gameplay. That you can't tell if it's actually gameplay or just a pre-rendered showing of the game. So to get out that negative, I'll get into the positive. This is gonna be a short video because again, they didn't have a lot there that I cared about. Final Fantasy VII Remake. Final Fantasy VII Remakes looks phenomenal. I can't wait for that game. I'm one of them people who was a diehard Final Fantasy fan. Now, I wasn't always a Final Fantasy fan. I started off not giving a rat's ass about Final Fantasy, but then I played 15. I fell in love with that game, and because of that, I went back and started playing and researching and learning the lore of Final Fantasy. And 7 looks like it's going to be a phenomenal game. I want to play it. Out of all the games that they showed at their conference, 7 was like the game that has my attention. It's the game that I want to play. It's the game that looks like it's going to be super fun and super good. Yes, it's episodic. I don't really care if it's episodic or not. A lot of people are complaining about that. I just want to play the game. It looks fun. It looks phenomenal. I don't think, it will be, this amazing game because it is a remake. But Resident Evil 2 remake was an amazing game. That was a remake, and it was better than the original. So I expect that 7 will be better than the original. There's going to be new content within it. So it's not just a remaster or remake. It's a game that even though it is a remake, there's new things in it that the old game didn't have. There's more story to it. There's better combat system. The things are better with 7, and it looks phenomenal. It graphically looks phenomenal, and I really hope I get to play it. Outside of that, they show off a game, as I mentioned before, called Outriders. It's a game by people can fly, people who made Bulletstorm and Gears of War Judgment. I'm reserved about it because People Can Fly has made bad games, but it looks interesting. Like, they didn't show any gameplay for it. There's no real details on it that they didn't really talk about it that much in terms of the developers coming out and saying what the game is, what it does. There's probably like some more details post E3. But at the actual conference itself, they just showed this cinematic trailer of this game that looks interesting. It looks like it's gonna be a fun game. But again, it's People Can Fly. People Can Fly. Judgment was the worst Gears of War game of all time. Judgment literally is the reason Epic no longer makes Gears of War. Like, Judgment by itself is the reason that Epic lost the rights to Gears of War, because that game was just that bad. It was literally terrible. It's not just one of the worst Gears games. It's one of the worst Xbox exclusives that has been published. It was a horrible game. Bulletstorm is pretty mediocre. It has a cult following, but it's pretty mediocre. So I don't know what to expect with Outriders because the developer isn't very good. But maybe this is that game that sets People Can Fly into a good standing with me and with other gamers. Maybe it will be a good game, so we'll see when we see more of it. So the last game that got my attention is obviously the Avengers. I'm a huge Marvel fan, and you're going to see more Marvel videos on this channel because there are some controversial topics I want to talk about involving Marvel and some of their actors and things of that nature and their future games. But when it comes to the Avengers game, it looks good graphically. Taskmaster apparently is going to be like the main bad guy. Maybe, obviously, they'll probably have more bad guys as the game goes on. The DLC for the game is going to be free according to them. It looks good. Some of the things that I didn't like was Iron Man. His design looks a little weird. I'm not a fan of the long hair on Tony Stark. It seems like either Captain America dies in the game, either early on or mid game, because there's a whole little thing when it comes to there's a cutscene that shows a memorial for him, and there Tony and Bruce Banner are arguing about his legacy and how they failed him. And so they also announced who's going to be like the first added character, because the original team is going to be Black Widow, Hulk, Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America. And they show that the first added character will be Ant-Man. So it looks good. I honestly think that Ultimate Alliance 3 would be better, but Avengers looks good. So 2 good Marvel games is not a bad thing. So I have high hopes for it. My expectations for it is very high. We didn't see a lot of actual gameplay for it, so anything I say is just based off cutscenes that we saw at the conference. Not they show gameplay and it looked phenomenal. They show gameplay, they show all this stuff, and we can see how good it's going to be, how good it looks. But outside of that, the conference didn't have anything else that really interests me. I mean, I'm not a big fan of a lot of the games they showed. I'm not a huge fan of Japanese RPGs. I've said that millions of times before. Like, it's very rare for me to be into a Japanese RPG because a lot of them aren't very interesting. A lot of them are boring. So to me, Square Enix conference just wasn't that good. But with all that said, guys, this is the video. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Please leave any thoughts you have in the comments below. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.